Hi everybody, and welcome to Mr. Stansfield's educational videos. Today we're going to be taking a look at how you can manipulate an image in Photoshop using some basic tools. And we're sort of doing this, styling this image after the cubist painters of the early 20th century. And I'm showing you the final result and then kind of work backwards. If at any point you need to just pause and rewatch anything, I'm going to go through this pretty quickly. So here's my final result, and what I'm going to do is actually throw everything away that we just did and start over and show you where we started. So I've got my image here and I've got my layers palette over here. If you don't have a screen that looks like this, I'm going to show you how to get there. So first things first, let's ditch all of our layers. Let's go back to the original image. So this is how the image started out when we opened up the file. I'm going to hit the Tab key, and that will make my tools kind of show up or disappear, and go over a couple of things here. We're going to be using two tools today. That's the Move tool, this first tool right here, and what we want to make sure we have selected on the Move tool is checkbox Auto Select, and then make sure that it's Layer. We don't want to have Show Transform Controls selected up here. We're also going to be using the rectangular marquee tool, and the shortcut key for each of these is M for the marquee tool and V for the move tool. So if at any point I want to switch between those two really quickly, I can just hit M or V on the keyboard. On the rectangular marquee tool, I want to make sure that I have this first box selected here. I want to make sure that my style is normal, and that's it. We're ready to go. First things first, we're going to copy the background layer. You can do that by dragging it down here to the new layer. That's going to make a background copy. Or if I hit Command Z to undo that, I can do a shortcut key, a Command J. That's going to make a new layer, layer 1 right here. And it's always something I do when I'm working in Photoshop. I always copy the background layer so that if anything happens to this layer, I've always got that background layer I can revert to. So let's get started here. What I'm going to do is actually hit the Tab key. It's going to clear my tools, and I'm going to go up here to Window and select just my Layers palette. You can see that the shortcut key is F7 on the keyboard. So I hold the spacebar key and move it over here, and I've got my image and my layers. I've got the marquee tool selected by clicking M on the keyboard. What I'm going to do is actually make a selection on the image of an area that I want to edit. Then what I'm going to do is actually use that shortcut key to make a new layer, Command J. That's going to make a new layer, layer 2 up here. Then I'm going to go ahead and go to Edit, Transform, or Free Transform, and you can see that the shortcut key is Command T. I'm going to hold one of these, click and drag one of these four corners to transform this rectangle. Now you can see that it will let me kind of flip it upside down and make it really long and skewed, and this is fine, but for me, for my purposes right now, I kind of want to retain the original ratio of that rectangle. So what I'm going to do is hold the Shift key, or press the Shift key as I'm clicking and dragging. I haven't let go of the mouse. And then you can see no matter where my mouse is, it's still going to maintain that rectangular ratio. So that's the Shift key. I haven't let go of the mouse yet. You can see me clicking on and off with the Shift key. I'm just going to take the tip of this flower and make it a little bit bigger. I'm going to let go, and then I can move it around, kind of try to line it up a little bit, or maybe purposely get it so that it's not lined up. We can always come back and remove this if we need to. And then click Enter, and it's going to save that transformation. This is the reason that we're going to do this in a layer and not just do it all on the same layer, is because if I click the eyeball there, my original image is still right there. So let's go ahead and do this to the rest of these petals. I'm going to pause the video and then I'll come back so you can see what we've done. As I was recording here, I had an error message pop up which I wanted to show you. So if I make a selection, my next selection, I'm going to do the tip of the flower again here, maybe a smaller box, and then I hit Command J to copy that onto a new layer. It says, could not make new layer from the selection because the selected area is empty. Okay. Well, the reason is because we have layer 2 selected over here. So we need to go to layer 1 and then hit Command J, and it'll make a new layer now, layer 3. Layer 3 is this box right here. Command T will transform it. And I can make it a little bigger, move it around, click Enter. Go back to layer 1, make the selection. Now watch what happens when I make the selection over the other rectangle here. You can see that right up here it's overlapping with that other rectangle. I'm not too worried about it because layer 1, if you remember, doesn't have that rectangle. That's in a whole new layer, layer 3 up there. So make the selection, Command J, Command T, free transform, make it a little bit bigger, move it around, maybe kind of bring it out a little bit. And the point is not for this to be looking like a flower. If I wanted a picture of a flower, I wouldn't edit it. The point is to confuse the depth and confuse the sort of the way that the layers interact with each other. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and finish up the flower. Again, I'm going to pause the video and come back. Alright, so now we've gone around each petal and made a new layer, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and done a little free transform for each one. Now what I'm going to do is just take a look at the middle here, I'm going to do a quick adjustment, and then we'll wrap it up. So if we click on the eyeball next to any layer, and I just clicked and dragged so I could reselect or deselect all of those rather really quickly, it'll allow me to kind of see this a little bit more. Now, check out what happens when I hit M or V on the keyboard. Right, when I hit V on the keyboard, it gives me a different mouse. What I'm going to do here is just make a selection, rectangular marquee tool, copy it, Command J, free transform, just like we've been doing for the rest of these. I'm going to make this just a little bit bigger, something like that, fine, okay? And that's going to be layer 9. I'm going to add in the rest of these layers here, and we're starting to get somewhere. Now, I wanted to go over a couple of things, fine-tuning and then finishing up. So you can always move any of these around if you have the move tool. You just click, and the layer will be selected, and you just move this around like that. Now, if it's sort of jumping, you see these lines that it's sort of lining, it wants to line up with something. If you don't want it to jump to one of those, you can just hold the Control key as you're clicking and dragging, and those lines will show up. You can see, there you go, right, when it's lined up with one of those layers, those little pink lines that are flashing. Basically, it gives it a little bit of a smoother instead of, you can see it jumping around there. Either way, so I'm going to click and drag. I'm just going to move these around a little bit. Now, if I wanted these two layers right here, layer 7 and layer 8, to interact differently, what I could do is just drag layer 8 above layer 7, and then this would pop up right there, or I could drag layer 7 back above layer 8. Let's just keep it like that for right now. Now to finish up, we're going to add a drop shadow. We're going to select the top layer here, doesn't matter what it is, go down to FX at the bottom, and we're going to select drop shadow. And if you look at this layer 2, I'm going to hit cancel here just to see, okay, so layer 2 is this box right there. FX, drop shadow, and we're going to zoom in a little bit. I'm going to hit Command plus, and then we can look at the corner right here. Now this drop shadow, I can change the angle, and it's going to change the way that the drop shadow looks. Somewhere around 120 to 140 is going to give me the drop shadow I'm looking for though, and that's on the bottom right hand corner. And then we're going to increase the distance, the spread, and the size. Basically, until we like the way it looks. Now you can always hit Command minus, Command 0. Oops. Don't hit Command 0 apparently while you're in this box. So we hit cancel. We're going to go back. Command 0 will make the image full screen. Command minus will zoom out. Command plus will zoom in. So what I'm going to do is just kind of zoom into this. Yeah, maybe we'll look at it full screen. Okay. FX, drop shadow, and this is going to be the last step. So set it to around 130. Increase the distance, increase the spread, increase the size. Basically we want to see this square a little bit more. Okay? I'm going to zoom in a little bit, make sure that it looks okay close up too. Yeah, I think that's okay. So 858 seems to be, for this particular sized image, the right settings, but you're going to have to do this visually because your image size might be different. So click OK. And then here's a really easy way to take this drop shadow, instead of having to do it to each layer. What we're going to do is Control-click layer 2, copy layer style, select layer 3, click Shift, hold Shift, click layer 9, so that will select all of the intervening layers. Control click anywhere and paste layer style, and it will add a drop shadow to each one. Let's go ahead and hit Command 0 to look at it full screen, Command minus even, we could zoom out a little bit. And there you see that drop shadow just gives a little bit of an edge to the square, so it gives a little bit of depth to it. And that's it. That's how we're going to edit a photo using the rectangular marquee tool and the free transform to get a cubist inspired photo montage. Thanks for watching.